Late night. For me, anyway. And most people are like, this is the latest that we've seen Jay go live. Well, guess what? You never know what we're going to do. And I got a very special guest with me this evening, this morning for a lot of our eastern part of the world folks. You know, the folks over in Asia, Melanie, they're just getting up, you know. So, you know, we got them all, you know, and then some of the people in Europe are like, hold on. They went to the bathroom. And they're like, I didn't want to get up that early. But they all of a sudden they saw a notification. So they're like, well, what's going on with Promote the Truth this time? Well, you never know. I told you, lives are live. You can't edit these things. It's just going to be the way it is. And so we got a special title that we're going to talk about tonight. Now, this title is unique because it's How to Educate Your Children in Yahuwah. And I want to introduce you to someone that I trust with my own child to educate in Yahuwah, Miss Melanie Summers. Welcome to our live stream, Miss Melanie. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for that nice introduction, Brother.
You know, so Melanie, before we even get into it, I want you to introduce yourself. I want you to tell folks about your background a little bit from an educational standpoint. And then I'm going to show y'all how this all relates to what Yahuwah wants when it comes to education. So Melanie, go ahead and introduce yourself to the entire Promote the Truth community.
Well, good day, good evening, whatever time of day it is. I am Melanie Summers, and I taught regular school for 42 years. So I know what goes on in regular school, in traditional schools. I know that when I started teaching way back in, don't gasp, 1976.
I do a little whistle there, Mel.
Things were a whole lot different. And then as world changed and people's ideas changed and more things were added to the curriculum, and it seems like we had more time teaching things that weren't curricular as far as reading, writing, arithmetic, and more things that were social issues and things that really were not what we should be thinking about when teaching our children. And when I finally retired in 2017, when it came to things that we were supposed to teach, I had to make a choice. And that choice was, I wrote them in my lesson plans, but oh my, the day ended and I just didn't have time to get to it. So that's how I got around it, because I had to prove that it was in my lesson plans. But there was no proof that I taught it. So that's how I got around it. But it got to the place where I just, I was just getting to the place where things were was not what I wanted it to be in education. And before I go on, I want to quote something from, I do believe it's Jacob, which is James.
Jacob, you're right on it.
Chapter 1:17, and this is from the scriptures, 2009. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, with whom there is no change nor shadow of turning. And I believe that I have a gift, but I don't believe it's just my gift. I believe that everyone has a gift.
Yes.
Everyone has a gift.
Yes.
And those gifts became quite known to me in the mid-1980s when I found a psychologist by the name of Howard Gardner. And he wrote a book in 1984. It slips my mind. It's getting a little late here too. But I thought, wow, that he's spot on. And I knew that if I took those styles into my classroom, that everyone would be able to learn according to their gift.
Yes.
So that's how I taught from there on out. I made units and I included everybody and how they learned. And my classes soared. They absolutely soared. And that's what I do with your child too, Jay, by the way, because I know how he learns. And so when I give him things, it's because I know how to get around the things that he may not understand or may not be familiar with, because he has his gifts and I know how to meld my gifts. It's kind of like fusion cuisine.
Right. Like a fusion cuisine. That's a great word.
I call fusion education. So that's what I did. But no, it's very important that we understand, though, that since 2017, I haven't been in a regular classroom since 2017. So that's been another, 3 + 4, 7 years.
7 years.
I know that things have escalated, even in talking with some of my former colleagues, to the point where I really would not, if I had a child now, I would not be teaching. I would be teaching my child at home.
So if you had a child now, you wouldn't go down to the building called the public school and go teach. You would stop and teach your child at home. Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly what I'm saying. It's got that out of hand. And the more liberal the area that you live in, the more liberal things are brought into the school.
That's right.
They are bringing, can you believe this? They are bringing transgender people into the kindergarten classrooms and having them read really inappropriate books for anyone, let alone a 5-year-old.
This is amazing. This is amazing. So I told y'all it's going to get hot. And so I had a conversation with Melanie before we did this live, and we didn't know we were going to do this. This is kind of like spur of the moment. And so what we got to do now is we got to go into the word that I'm going to weave this back in, because people are going, okay, then where are we going here with this? We're going to do the thing I've been telling y'all every day. We're going to tear it down. So all this nonsense going on around the world that's outside of the ways of Yahuwah, Yahuwah is calling certain people, and he has a specific call on Melanie's life, and I've identified it as an elder in the kingdom of Yahuwah. Make no mistake about it. I've identified that Melanie has a certain gift, and that's why I entrusted her to be able to help with the homeschooling of our child. And today, we got this incredible notification that our child, who's 8 years old, that just finished 3rd grade, online, homeschool, because of his level of mentorship and coaching and tutelage and training from Miss Melanie Summers, he got to skip 4th grade and go straight to 5th grade. Because I said to Melanie when I first met her, I said, Melanie, and I told any of his other teachers that come on, I want him to graduate college before he's 16 within these confines of how I believe Yahuwah wants our children educated. Melanie, how do you feel about that? And Melanie came back, and she's going to tell you from her own voice. She's going to say, okay, let's go. So I'm going to read you something from Yahusha, Mashiyha, when he walked on the earth. That was his name on the earth. He's Yahuwah Mashiyha now. But when he walked on the earth, he was Yahusha Mashiyha. And he says in Matit Yahu, chapter 18, verse 1. Now put your seatbelts on. You know how we do it, Melanie, here. Here we go. Because we're going to go in the word. It's about to get hot. Matit Yahu, which means the gift, which is what Melanie is presenting to the world, is a gift. Matit Yahu means the gift is Yahuwah. See, we got to give our children the gift of Yahuwah by how we train them. And so what Yahusha said, Mashiyha said in Matit Yahu 18:1, at that time, the taught ones came to Yahusha saying, who then is the greatest in the kingdom of heaven? You see, Melanie, they wanted to know who was the greatest. We sitting down here on earth, but up there, who's the greatest up there? Now, y'all check this out. because the Savior, the Mashiyha, says something unique. And Yahusha immediately called a little child to come to him. And there's a little child walks over to him. And he set the child down among them. And then Yahusha HaMashiach said, truly I say to you, unless you become as this child, like this child, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. So whoever humbles themselves, like this little child just did, that is the greatest in the kingdom. So Melanie, is kind of unique that they were looking up at the kingdom, and Yahusha said, no. You got to understand. It's right here. It's going to show you who's the greatest. It's the person that comes as a little child. Now, Melanie, you as an educator, how important is that introduction to learning for children, and what happens when you teach them the right way from the beginning versus the wrong way from the beginning, in your opinion, Miss Melanie?
Well, that's one of my favorite verses in the Bible. It's always been. Because you have to think about the situation. The little child came over because he trusted. He was innocent and he trusted. So what was our Savior really saying? He's saying this little child is trusting and he's innocent, and unless you trust and you humble yourself and become as innocent as this child in your learning, then you're not going to receive the kingdom.
Nope.
So I took that very literally when I walked into a classroom, because every child that walked into my classroom, I had to look at as an innocent child who trusted me,
yes,
to give him or her what they needed to be successful. And I did, and watched them soar.
That's amazing. You kept it simple. Like I taught that earlier about, we got to keep this thing simple. Yahuwah wants to make you abundant. Yahuwah wants to educate you in the word. But y'all got to understand, for a child to be able to understand the word, they got to learn how to read. And what's happened is Satan picked that up and says, oh, being that they got to learn how to read, what I'm going to do is come in and present all these other things to them of this world and snatch these children for 6 to 8 hours a day, sometimes longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to plant other things in them that's outside of reading, writing, arithmetic. I'm going to plant other things in their head to where they completely forget about me. Now, Melanie, when I grew up, this is how deep this is. We used to go to school and we couldn't even start the class without standing up, taking our hand, putting it on our heart, and then saying, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, right? Mm-hmm. And then it got to a point where it says, one nation, watch this paganism come in, under G-O-D, with your hand on your heart. I grew up to where you had to pledge allegiance to a pagan deity. Now, y'all tell me what's happened since then. Now, Melanie, what have you seen happen? Because you probably didn't pick it up. You probably were just like hoping that everybody else got this thing the right way, right? What were you thinking, Melanie? Now that you know what you know.
Well, now that I know what I know, we might do a little bit of the pledge, but we'd leave a lot of the pledge out.
Now, that's a great teacher right there. We'll do a little bit, but we're going to leave a lot of the pledge out.
But the second thing that you emphasize with the little children, Jay, they have preschool now. They're taking children as young as 2 and 3 years old. And mothers and fathers, a lot of them single mothers, they put them in preschool because they think it's a good way, it's a good safe way to babysit their children. They have to pay a babysitter, they might as well put them somewhere where they're learning something at the same time. What they're doing is they're taking their responsibility and putting it into somebody else's hands. Who would do
Hold on. Say it one more time. Who's taking their responsibility? The parent?
The parent is taking their responsibilities and putting it into a stranger's hands.
How do you think Yahuwah feels about that, Melanie?
Well, who did he give parenthood to?
The parents.
Or did he give it to somebody else?
Wow. Hold on. Before we go any further, I want to pre-qualify Melanie Summers. Melanie, have you called on the name of Yahuwah?
Absolutely, I have.
Have you been immersed into his name?
I certainly have.
Have you pledged your allegiance not to God, but to Yahuwah?
I have.
Is there any other Elohim before Yahuwah?
None.
All right, so I just want to do a little pre-qualification so that when y'all understand, we got a 40-year renowned educator who's saying, I renounce God. I claim Yahuwah, and what I'm saying to you is based on that. Where you want to go with this now, Melanie? Come on, it's getting hot in here.
Where am I going to go with that? I'm going to go with that as this. If I were forced to still have to have a JOB, it would still be teaching because it's the love. It is really the love of my heart when it comes to children. But I would do the same thing that I always did. I would leave out the things that were not appropriate. I would teach it. And there are other things.
What if they said we're going to fire you, Melanie, if you don't do it?
Well, I have said this before. Well, I guess I was looking for a job when I found this one.
See, we're raising up warriors in Yahuwah. I'm telling y'all. We're raising up warriors.
That's what I would say. And I have said that before, by the way.
This is so great because, see, we're hitting you from so many angles that promote the truth. Y'all don't even know where the angles are coming from because most of y'all been going along with the go along. I'm telling you, almost every one of you that are listening to Melanie and I right now, your children are in the public school system. All right, put your seat belt on because I don't believe in the public educational system at all. I don't promote it. I don't endorse it, even an inch. And I'm telling you right here, right now, that when you put your children in that system, it is a system, but that system has nothing to do with Yahuwah, the Most High. So when Melanie called on the name of Yahuwah, and by the way, Melanie, I don't know, how did you find out about the name of Yahuwah?
Through you.
See, how they going to know unless somebody tell them? So you're going to receive power to be Yahuwah's witness. So I told somebody and all of a sudden they spoke to Melanie. And I think you told me, Melanie, you happened to see a video I did on Facebook or something.
Yeah. And then I said, Jay, tell me more.
You sent me, I probably still got the message. Melanie was like, could you tell me a little bit more about this? And so I told her. And what I do, I said, Melanie, go watch the name video. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
What'd you feel, Melanie, after you watched the name of Yahuwah video? What'd you feel? Curious. How'd you grow up, by the way, religiously? People gonna want to know, how'd you grow up religiously, like spiritually?
I grew up very, very strictly in a religion called the Church of Christ.
Okay.
And in that religion, everything was a thou shalt not. There was no joy. I never had any joy. And I always wondered, and this was pre-Yahuwah, I looked at all of these other religions around the world and even in the past, and every single one of them named their superior being. Had a name for him. We didn't. We just called him a thing. We called him a noun. The word God is a noun.
That's a noun. Okay.
Everybody else had a name, but ours didn't. And that really bothered me.
Melanie, you just gave it the best case scenario. Calling God a noun. By the way, I call it a pagan. Melanie gave y'all a favor, you God lovers. She said it's just a noun. Go ahead, Melanie.
So when I watched that, I was like, hallelujah, we have a name.
We're out of the noun syndrome.
Yes. And when I talk to you, I call you Jay.
Yeah.
Right?
I say, hey, Melanie.
I say, hey, you. And you call me Melanie. You don't call me, hey, you.
Hey, woman.
Yeah. You get just.
Will woman be a noun?
Yes.
Okay. And you would be a noun?
That's a pronoun.
Pronoun. Oh, see, I'm getting y'all educated tonight. We were the top educator. But when I say Melanie, that is a
name. It is a proper noun. There's a
difference. Proper noun.
There's a difference between a common noun and a proper noun.
Why, Melanie?
Because a proper noun is specific to that one thing on earth.
Y'all know where we're gonna go with this? Y'all understand?
It is a noun, but it's a proper noun. It is a noun.
So Yahuwah is not just a noun.
It is a proper noun. It identifies our creator.
Whoa. From an educational, high-level, intellectual aspect, when you heard the name Yahuwah, you're watching the video, you see it progressing, breaking it down, and now you see it says Yahuwah. What happened?
That's what I said a minute ago. Our creator does have a name.
And then what did you feel? What happened? What was your next steps from there?
Oh, I had a conversation. I had a conversation with my creator, and I called him by name.
Wow.
I mean,
did that change anything in your heart, in your mind?
There was no doubt that I just received the greatest blessing that I could have ever gotten, and that was to know the name of my creator. Wow. And then when I find out that this is my name forever, it was like, well, who took your name to begin with? Who put you in a box and put the lid on it?
Man, this is deep. This is deep. So y'all got to understand. So here's what's going on. So Melanie, we start talking. I say, Melanie, that space that you're in of retirement, I don't think it can hold you. You remember that, Melanie? Mm-hmm. I said, I don't think. Go ahead.
Coincidentally, during the pandemic, and then just at the very, very beginning of the pandemic, I was sitting right in there and in my breakfast nook, looking through my recipe book, trying to find something that I was going to fix for dinner because, we couldn't find anything at the grocery stores. They were picked clean. And I had certain ingredients and I was like, okay, what can I fix? And I heard this voice said, they still need you. And I even kind of looked around. It was like, okay, now I'm hearing things. And it wasn't 10 minutes later, my phone rang. And it was a student that I had had in 6th grade
Okay.
and said, Mrs. Summers, I'm having trouble in math. They've got us all quarantined. They've got us on this Zoom stuff. And I don't understand this math. And at this time, she was now in high school.
Okay.
And she was taking algebra. And she goes, I don't understand that. I said, give me a screenshot. I mean, take a picture and send it to me. She did. And I looked at it. And I said, Dawn Haley, do you remember back in 6th grade when we did this? And I, said, and it was when they were doing things like they had to combine long phrases like x plus y plus 2x plus 2x squared plus, and then they had to like be able to combine that together because it was all the functions in it, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And I said, do you remember how I taught that? She goes, yeah, you said, 1 orange plus 1 apple plus an apple squared. None of those were this. And I just heard her. She looked at it and she goes, it's the same thing. I said, And then it wasn't too long after that my phone started ringing, and it was another child, and then another one, and then a parent. It was like, because she got on the phone and she said, if you need help, call Mrs. Summers.
Wow.
So
and everybody was at home, so they were like everybody. They were looking for somebody to talk to.
Yeah, and it was great because I was even getting phone calls from people I never heard of before. They said, these people said that you could do this. And at the time, I hadn't thought about doing a business or coming back out of retirement or doing anything that I'm doing right now. But boy, I'm glad I did because, I just turned 69 years old and I am absolutely loving what I'm doing, and I'm not sitting around doing nothing. So, and I have a way now to just spread my word to people everywhere.
This is great. So Melanie started building off of these conversations. She finds Yahuwah. Students start calling her out of the blue. Y'all think, I'm telling you, Melanie, people don't know how Yahuwah will start working once you get immersed, once you call on him. And if you go back and you look back, Melanie, you go, oh, so from the time I accepted and called on Yahuwah, these kind of weird coincidences started happening. To Yahuwah, then he starts to hook up.
Yep, it's 4 years ago. 4 years ago, which was the beginning of the pandemic, that I called upon Yahuwah. And it wasn't but just a little bit of time I got that first phone call.
They're coming. Yahuwah's telling you, I'm going to hook y'all up in the ways that you can't even imagine. And he's going to tap into your passion. So all of a sudden, Melanie gets going. She starts moving down the road. She calls me up one day and I said, Melanie, you got to coursify this stuff. You got to package what you know, because the kingdom of Yahuwah is going to need you to take this message. Now, this is what's so weird about this, is that we built the Promote the Truth website in 2007, but we didn't start doing YouTube and putting the videos out the way we're doing now until about the same time Melanie called on Yahuwah. It was just shortly before we released all this stuff. Most of y'all like, Promote the Truth been around for ages. No, we've been on YouTube for about 4 years.
Wow, that's something. And don't forget, I heard that little voice. They still need you.
Yeah, still need you. And so what happened is Melanie starts progressing. She writes a book. She gets into collaboration. She becomes was that an international bestseller?
You mean the other 3 books?
How many books? What happened? How many international bestsellers did you become?
3 international bestsellers.
She got 3 international bestsellers. And within this 4-year span, y'all gotta understand, You were retired, right?
Mm-hmm. I sure was.
But I'm telling you, Yahuwah said to me to tell you that little space of retirement can't hold you. And all of a sudden, Melanie's like, well, what? And then she starts going. I said, Melanie, I want you to start helping educate our son because now he's going to enter into schooling. Because at that time, Kyle was only like 4 or 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And then she starts getting in and working with him a little bit and a little bit more, a little bit more. And then he starts to explode. I said, Melanie, you got to teach the world. But what's important here is when you teach, you're not going to teach them to go into the system. You're going to teach them in a way to get them out of the system, but stays into Yahuwah. Would you like to comment on that, Melanie?
Oh, well, that's very easy for me to do. You know, I told you I found that, this philosopher or this psychologist.
Right.
I brought that into my classroom. And let me explain a little bit on how I did my classroom. All right.
Okay.
There are 8 basic intelligences, and everyone has all 8. Some have more than others. And those ones that stand out, you can actually see. If you go into, let's say you're going to go fly somewhere, you go into an airport and you sit down and you just kind of like sit back and watch the kids or the people and what they're doing. Mm-hmm. You'll have some kids who are like this on their phone. You'll have some reading a book. You'll have some that just can't sit still. Then you have some that are just sitting there watching everybody else. When I see this all speaks to me. This all says, okay, this person over here is an impressive independent. Oh, but this person over here, I can see what he's doing. He's over there, doing his homework, and his homework is on, nature stuff. So I know that he's an exceptional ecologist. And then I look over here and this person's doing, his math homework and everything, and he's just flying through it. Well, I know he's a magical mathematician. And I see this person over here and he's just zinging around everywhere. I'm like, okay, well, you got a phenomenal physicalist here. Because they all have these different patterns. But the thing about it is each one of these have specific attributes. Specific to that kind of learner. And what's really a joy is if you have a child that has one that's predominant, but has maybe 2 or 3 others that are just right there with it, like on a scale from 1 to 15, if he's really dominant and gets a 13 in one of these, but he has like maybe 2 or 3 at a 12, you've got one child there who can learn multiple ways. And I can tell just in an instant what those things are, but they, like I said, they have specific, unique attributes to these types of learners. Right. So if you know their attributes, some of them are shared. So now you know how to pair people. So if you have a child that's like 6 and another that's 8, another that's 10, I have a way, it's called an inventory, not a test, but an inventory that they take. And I can figure out how they learn. I can match those learning styles up so that you could teach the same thing at the same time. I also taught in units. And by that I meant I had a theme of the week. And in that theme, let's say it was Colonial America. We had to teach Colonial America, right? All desks got pushed to the side. They had to sit in their chairs, the boys on the right, the girls on the left, and they used their little chalkboards as their horn book. And we learned like a colonial student would have learned. And then we had to bring other things in. Okay, how did they light their homes at night? Well, they used candles. So what did we do? We dipped candles and made homemade candles, put little decorations on it. Now they had a present to go home and give to their mom. And,
I think it's just such high level. Like I play professional baseball. So what y'all hear Melanie talking about is her high level of expertise. Now, what I want to get to, and I want to make sure we get before we wrap out of here, Melanie, is that all this has progressed to this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're going to have a virtual retreat in the spring. We're going to have Miss Melanie Summers be a part of that so that she can help you guys understand the importance of homeschooling and how to take control of your children's education and keep them in Yahuwah, not out of Yahuwah, because you can be guaranteed if your child or your children is going to a public school, you're guaranteed that every day they have geared that up to push them away from Yahuwah. Would you agree, Melanie?
I would agree. And the longer we go into time as it goes forward, the more it gets to Ashatan, gets his little hooks into their little lives. So you got to get them out of it. You have to. And one little other thing I wanted to say, with that lesson, what did I get? I got melted wax, and then the wax turning solid again. Now you have physical changes. When you light the candle to burn it, that's chemical changes. You got a science lesson now going on.
Wow. This is
you can do that. You can do that in your home. Those are things that are taught in school with a science book. I can do it with just activities without any worksheets, and they know exactly what they're talking about.
And we do that in our home. And our child today went from 3rd grade, supposed to go to 4th grade. They skipped him to 5th grade. It happened today because of what you're hearing Melanie talk about. Now, what I said to Melanie and his teachers, I said, Kai, I am calling for him to graduate college before he's 16. No, I said, no, he can't go to 17. So 16 or below is when he graduates college, because I'm not going to have him spend unnecessary time just running around in circles when Yahuwah needs him to go build kingdom business. And so, Melanie, when I brought that to you, I said, I want him to graduate college, not high school, before he's done with 16. How'd you respond to that?
I said, well, we can do it. It's possible. And I want to give a little bit of something that a lot of people never think about, Jay.
What's that?
I'm not so sure about other countries. I know about here in the States. It is mandated by law that a child be in school for 180 days. Oh, but wait, isn't there 365 days a year? What happened to those other 185 days? Now, let's take that 180 days that they're supposed to be in school. Everybody here that has a child in school knows this. They've got half days that they send them home because they have a teacher's meeting. Or, oh, wait, they've got to get report cards out tomorrow. They don't have their grades later, so they throw on a movie. Who told them that they could show your kid that movie? But they're watching a movie that you may not like. Right? So there's a wasted day. And then there's all that time they walk to lunch and they walk. Well, I know they have to have lunch, but now they have to have their planning time. So now they send them to specials. And, when are they really learning how to read? How to write? They don't even teach cursive writing in schools anymore. It is not even. How in the world are they going to read the Constitution or any kind of document before the advent of the 20th century if they don't know cursive writing? So they're only getting teaching time in that 8 hours you send them to school. They're only getting maybe 3 hours of learning time when you take it all out. And on top of that, think about getting them up early, trying to get them out the door.
Melanie, why in the heck do they want these kids to get up before the rooster even crows?
And send them on a bus ride that sometimes lasts 45 to 50 minutes. And
why? Why is it so early, Melanie?
Because now they're consolidating schools. And they have one school, and this kid lives, miles and miles away, but he has to go to that district because that's the law. They stick them on a bus, and they send them over there. Once they get there, it's not time for school, so now they're in preschool. pre-care. Then they go to school, and then they have to get on a bus and ride that 45 minutes to 50 minutes home.
Do you think it's to keep them away from the parents?
Well, that's part of it. And whether it is really because they want to keep them away from parents, that's what it amounts to.
Okay, so that's what it equals, whether they want to or not.
Yeah, that's what it equals.
Okay, so Mel, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sis.
Personally, I don't think that they say we want to keep these kids away from their parents, but it conveniently to get them to that school, this is what it entails. And whether they want to, they know it's an inconvenience, but that's what happens. So now they are being watched all day long by somebody else. And by the time they get home, dinner has to be served, your chores have to be done, homework has to be completed. And by the time all of that's done, it's bedtime.
Dang, I mean, no real time with the parents.
Exactly.
The parents think they're doing something because they come in, maybe sit down and eat, and it's time to go to bed. And man, the majority of their life is being ran in this little system. Now, let me tell y'all something. That's not what Yahuwah wants. Yahuwah said, come out of her, my people. What you just heard described that this professional, Miss Melanie, broke down is the Babylonian system. It's the whore. It's the harlot system that has sucked up the children that promote the truth. We pull out the spotlight on many things. Like y'all know, we tear Jesus up. We tear Catholicism up. We tear the quote Bible. We tear all these stuff up. Guess what else we're going to tear up? We're going to tear up the educational, fraudulent, against Yahuwah system up. We're going to put a spotlight on it. Because if y'all want to follow Yahuwah, you can't play games with Yahuwah. Yahuwah says that you are to have no other Elohim before his face, before him at all. So Melanie, let's kind of get to it. I want to do a special spotlight because you just launched your book, your newest book today, which we helped you promote. Our company, this is outside of Promote the Truth, but our business that Lena and I own, we help promote and get out there to the world. And we think that everybody that's inside the Promote the Truth community, you guys should go get your free copy while y'all can go get it now and learn from these folks. I'm going to put it up on the screen, Melanie, but can you talk about the book that you launched today so that the entire Promote the Truth community can grab a free download of that book?
Yes. Well, the title says it all. It's Learning Outside the Line.
LOTLbook.com. L means learning outside the line.
What is the line? What do you think?
What's the line, Melanie? What's the line? Tell them what the line is.
Well, the line is traditional public education.
Ooh.
So,
Melanie, I think you coming to tear down that stronghold in a very cool angle here, right?
Exactly. LearningOutsideTheLineBook.com. Learning Outside the Line is the name of the book. The subtitle, though, is Innovative Homeschool Solutions.
This is good.
Because my way of teaching is innovative.
Innovative. That's how we're going to win. Most of y'all don't understand what's going on and how you got to win in this world. Most people are too stuck in traditional, organized religion, and they've tricked you not to understand how to be innovative, even though they've been innovative to get your money. But now, all of a sudden, here comes the truth. Yahuwah is restoring his kingdom, preparing the earth for the new Jerusalem before he burns it up and then cleans it up. It's amazing. Go watch the shows on the Discovery Channel about in Africa. You know, Melanie, when they go to the fires come and it burns up the land and everybody's like, oh my goodness, but then it comes back greener than ever.
That's necessity. That is
Why, Melanie? Why is that a necessity?
because when the soil gets to the point where it cannot sustain good plant life, nitrogen has to be put back into the soil.
Go ahead. That made me laugh. Nitrogen. Okay, go ahead.
And the best way to put nitrogen back into the soil is to put burnt things on the soil and mix it into the soil, because it puts those nutrients that had been sucked out by the plants, right? Because they needed it to grow. But now you got the fire. It's the plant life has now burned, and all of that goodness that had been sucked out of the soil is now put back into the soil.
Wow, that's what's going on right now. Yahuwah gonna burn it up. And so we're reestablishing things here on earth. And I want everybody, y'all do whatever y'all want to do. It's up to y'all. But I'm telling you, if you call on the name of Yahuwah and you got children, I want y'all to just go. It's free right now. You got to think of what, like 5 days it's going to be free?
It's free for 5 days. And the niftiest thing about that download is this. At the end, at the resource part of the book, I have a section called Websites and More. Okay. And there's over 130 vetted by me websites back there, all categorized. If you need information on how and what laws are and stuff, that's in one section. If you need interactive games and interactive websites, that's in another section. I vetted them all. They're all there, and they're hyperlinked.
So people can just click on them. So they got the ebook. So you get a free ebook. Mm-hmm. And now they can hyperlink and go to these. And see, what's going to happen is we're going to teach y'all at Promote the Truth. Literally, we're going to teach you how to properly educate your children. Yahuwah says, unless you come to me as a child. But this is the issue, Melanie. People haven't figured out what kind of child. Like if you bring a corrupted child to Yahusha, he's like, if that child comes in with attitude and like, and that's what's happening to these children. You see these children fighting back, smacking, cussing out teachers and whatever. Yahusha don't want nothing to do with that. Unless you come to me as a child, we're going to teach you how to teach your children how to properly be a child of Yahuwah. But y'all got to make some tough decisions. And I'm telling you right now, Melanie, we get all kind of messages. You imagine the amount of emails and messages we get at Promote the Truth? Hold on 1 second, Melanie. I'm going to share something with you, sis.
Okay.
What is it? We had, what was it, Lena? Lena, can you come bring me my bag? We had, I think it was 24,000 plus people go view our videos in the past 7 days.
Wow. That is, I'd like to say it's a miracle.
We just got notification from one of our, because we have analytics attached now. Mm-hmm. It says that Promote the Truth videos have reached 850,000 views. Hallelujah. We're almost at 1 million views. We'll hit 1 million in probably the next month or two.
Oh, and then things will really, the algorithms are really going to start rocking and rolling.
Right? Yeah. And everybody's got to go. Listen, I think I got it. I think I remember. Lena just came in and go, okay. LOTLbook.com. I want the entire Promote the Truth community. Y'all know I don't bring a whole bunch of people on, but I'm telling y'all saw Kai walk in here and go, I want to give to the kingdom because this is one of the sowers into my child's life, Miss Melanie Summers. Y'all want children to act like that? Then you got to have people that teach like that. Stop sending your children to death school. Stop. And it's going to take some courage. So Melanie, this is what I want you to end with. How does a person come? Because Yahuwah says, "Come out of her, my people." But there's some people going, "I got a job and I got to send," because really they set it up for the school to be daycare.
Yeah.
What suggestions do you have for a person to transition back to Yahuwah the right way? What do you think?
Well, there's two schools of thought there. It depends on your family. And some families are just the type that says, this is the way it's going to be, and that's what happens. But if you are that kind of person, I truly hope you take the time to step back and understand your child is still one of those little children who are trusting and innocent, and they may not understand what's going on. So please take the time to sit down with them, tell them what you're going to do, and explain why. Because that's the biggest reason. Children want to know why their life is being upheaved and shoved to the side, because that's the way they take it.
Right.
So please make sure that you take the time to sit down and say, and give them the foundation of why you're doing what you're doing. And make sure that they know it's because you love them enough to bring them back into the hearth and home and teach them what is necessary for their salvation. Because let's be real, that's the end game.
That's the end game. That's a fact. Salvation. It was so funny. I should say funny. What's so unique is that Gold Trim, Sister Rush put, "My son regrets tomorrow. I'm torn about sending him. I don't want to break the Shabbat." Let me be clear with you parents. So y'all don't have no ambiguity here. Here you go. You send your children to school on the Shabbat, the real Shabbat, you are intentionally breaking the commandments. Now, I know that's tough for y'all to hear. But if I don't tell you the truth, Yahuwah's going to hold me. He says, don't everybody want to step up and be a teacher. I didn't want to be a teacher. He called me to be a teacher. I accepted. He goes, because the teachers, Melanie, have much more accountability. Would you agree?
I do believe that. And I have something to say to these parents about that. All you have to do is write a letter and say, this is against my religion to go to school on these days, because this is my religious Shabbat. My children will not be in school on these days this month. Boom.
Can they do anything about it, Melanie?
They can't do a doggone thing about it.
What if they try to buck it? What happens?
What can they do? They're going against their right. That is illegal.
Isn't that like, for a fact, a lawsuit that almost high probability a person will win?
What does it say in our Constitution, our Declaration of Independence? What's the very first paragraph say? You know what it is, Jay. What is it?
Yeah, I know what it is.
You are entitled to your what?
Tell them, Melanie.
You are the rights of pursuit of happiness, right?
If you don't have the right to pursue happiness, everything else falls down.
Yep. You cannot be persecuted upon your religion.
You can't.
Period.
I think everybody, like, they put it all over the place. It's on those stickers in all workplaces about the Equal Opportunity Act, right? You can't discriminate based upon race. What's the next one? Religion, color, creed. And all of a sudden people come to Yahuwah and go, what am I going to do? That's Melanie just gave you a solution.
Right there.
Write that letter. My children can't come on these days. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. We got a very close friend here in Colombia. And they hardcore Catholic in Latin countries. Hardcore. You got a question in there, Melanie. Make sure you check that out. They're hardcore in Colombia. Catholic. And this young lady, that's a friend of ours, has a child. And she says she's not going to school on Shabbat. She went to the school, told them. They said, well, you don't understand. And she said, well, then that would be discrimination, and I would have the right to file a suit. And they backed down immediately, Melanie.
They have to. They know it's the truth. And I would like to address the question for me from Mama Nora.
Mama Nora.
In my book, I address, in that book, Learning Outside the Line, that particular question is addressed. You do realize that as a homeschooling parent that you can make your own transcript?
Melanie got all the stuff. I'm saying, right, I was sitting there sucking on a piece of ice. It almost made me choke. Because I'm like, Melanie got the stuff. You want to know why? Yahuwah says, I'm going to confound the wise and the intellect. Yahusha, when he was here, said, I praise you, Father, for you have revealed these things to the babes and the sucklings, the children where it's at. You see, we don't have the blessings on our lives. Y'all got to think about this. If you want the blessings on your life, and I had to say this for years, maybe the reason I don't have the true blessings on my life is because I'm not doing the right things to protect the children's lives. So when I started getting serious about it, and when my child came into this world, he never celebrated no pagan holiday. He's never known anything about G-O-D or J-E-S-U-S. Melanie, you got something to say. We're going to wrap this up, but Melanie, you got the fire going here.
There's a reason why you are a parent and you make decisions, not your child.
True. That is so true.
Raise up a child in the way they should go.
And they will not depart. They will not depart. Now, I'm telling y'all, if y'all want the pathway, y'all want it, y'all can come and walk with what me and Lena are doing. We literally have claimed to Yahuwah, like the whole school thing. Let's get all that stuff because, and Kai was looking at us today. We were celebrating. That's why we're going late, because we took him out. We got him some ice cream. He didn't even know. All the different teachers and Melanie, they called him and said, congratulations, Kai. You skipping 4th grade. You're going to 5th grade. And he was like, huh? What? Melanie, oh man, if you could have been there, you would have just jumped and ran.
But I know when you told me that, though, because you did, you typed me a little note. I just sat here and went, home. I mean, you just have no idea how I feel when some child that I've worked with just soars. I mean, there's no greater feeling to me. And that's what's kept me in education. I knew I was going to be a teacher when I was in 2nd grade.
Man, oh man.
That was way back in the early 1960s. I knew I was going to be a teacher.
I got to get Colony straight. Colony 759. Saturday is not the Sabbath, whoever that is. So you got to go to our site. We got to deal with that. I'm going to have to go. I've already hit it hard about the real calendar. Go to promote. Lena, drop in the calendar, the real calendar. And we're going to get this app done in the next 120 days. We're going to get the calendar app done. So everybody will be able to go in, download the Promote the Truth calendar, and you will know when every real Shabbat is. The Shabbat is set based on the new moon. So this is so important. Everybody has to understand what's going on here tonight or today, wherever you're at. Y'all got to connect with Melanie. Like some of y'all gonna have questions. Some of y'all gonna want to pull her in as putting together a curriculum like she does for our child. If you go over to innovativehomeschoolsolutions.com, Melanie, do you have can they connect with you through that link? Or no?
Yes, they can. They can sign up for a free consultation. And I have decided also, because of this, just within the last week, I have certain, tiers that I charge for, but I have really thought about saying, okay, if these 5 families want to come together, I can do a family of 5. They'd all get this around the same thing, but I can do a 5-family thing, and they could share the cost.
Wow.
That's how serious I am about education, and education in Yahuwah's name. And I mean, like, I'd like to talk to you, Jay, about that. Yeah. And, help me
coordinate that.
Yeah. And sort of
like groups of five.
Yeah. Like brainstorm and how can we do that and get that, so that, and how these 5 families could hook up and share, because you can do anything with modern technology now. Just look at us now.
We're doing it, man. I don't know how I don't know how exactly we're going to tear all this nonsense down, but we are.
Yes.
And we're going to cast that mountain of nonsense into the sea, because we got no doubt that Yahusha is Yahuwah, and he is our mediator that's working on our behalf, because he did come as a human and feel everything we felt and can empathize with everything we go through. And he wants the best for us. So he wants us to tear it down. Are you in or are you out? And so Miss Melanie Summers came here, and we just did a very unique type of Promote the Truth live. This is a different one, because this has to do with tearing it down. And I want everybody that wants to they want to get real direction. Y'all go over to that website that's on the screen now. Way more people are going to watch this on the replay. Every time we go to sleep at night, Melanie, like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and sometimes 1,000+ people, and soon will be thousands of people will watch it when I wake up. Every night I go to sleep, there's 200 to 250, I think, to 500 people become subscribers to Promote the Truth. Every night now.
That's wonderful.
That's been going on for like about a month, Melanie.
Just put in my head, what a dream of mine is now? It just came into my head. Wouldn't it be great that so many people needed my services that I had to train other people?
That's what's going on. That's a fact. That's not a maybe. That's what we're doing. We got to teach to teach to teach, Miss is teacher. We got to teach to teach. We got to teach to teach. That's the whole gamut of multiplication. Teach to teach to teach. So here's what y'all do. Everybody, not somebody, it ain't gonna cost you one dime to go over to lotlbook.com. This is what we want to see. We want to see Melanie hit #1 bestseller, multiple countries. She's already done it 3 times. And we want to see her do it again. And I'm telling you, she's going to give all the praises to who?
You. You has got the praises. Oh, and I do ask one little teeny tiny favor when they download.
So they download, they get the free book. What's the favor you're asking?
Scroll down to the bottom of it and leave a review.
Leave a review.
Leave a review. And, you already know what's in it. I've practically outlined the book for you. So just 1 or 2 sentences. And make sure it's a 5-star review, because that's
we don't want. Hey, Yahuwah's 5-star. Don't be leaving Yahuwah no 4 stars. That's his servant, Melanie.
Yep, and it'll take you 2 minutes to do that.
Everybody. So listen, most of y'all gonna watch this while I'm sleeping, and then I want you to go over to lotlbook.com, leave a 5-star rating. Give her read. Go ahead and read the cap. Melanie's gave you enough dialogue to understand it, or go back and log into your Amazon account and leave a great review. Lena's already left one for us, probably like 2. Lena's like, I gotta leave another one. This book is so good. Lena's like, I gotta leave another one. It's so good. What do you think my wife is thinking when she's looking at her child, our child, and we're sitting there going, we want you to be the best you can be. And this is one of your core teachers that deals with, like, nothing's going down unless Melanie stamps it in our child's life educationally. I trust her to, if she stamps it, great. Because I watch people that guard Yahuwah's commandments. I've been watching Melanie for years to see if they guard. I'm watching. And she's learning like a lot of you. She don't understand all the ins and outs, the intricacies of this day, that day. And there's sometimes Melanie, she don't have everything right. And we'll send her a little message. Melanie, did you know that Yahuwah wants, and she'll go, oh, got it. No problem. No more of that.
You know,
So Melanie, before we get out here, talk to the brand new person that's coming to Yahuwah. What would you say to them from an educational standpoint?
Education is something that never stops. So when you come to Yahuwah and you call upon his name and you are immersed in his name, you've already done exactly what you needed to do. And you need to keep his commandments. They're not hard. How hard is it, for instance, to honor your father and mother? Seriously, you're going to make mistakes because we're all coming out of Babylon.
Yes.
And do you realize that when Moshe stood on that ground in front of the burning bush, he said, okay, I'll do what you want me to do. I'm paraphrasing here, Jay. But who are you? Who am I supposed to tell him is wanting me to do this? Because remember, he was raised from the daughter of the Pharaoh.
That's true.
He was raised as one of Mitzrayim.
Pagan.
He did not. Exactly. He had no idea, and he had to ask him. Okay, all right. I see you're kind of powerful here. You got this bush burning, and it's not burning.
Right.
And so, okay, I'll do what you want me to do. But who exactly are you?
Wow.
I mean, most people don't get that.
They don't get that. Most people feel so lambasted that they didn't know. I've been deceived. And they don't understand that one of the most powerful characters in all of scriptural history is Mashiyha, who didn't even know Yahuwah's name. Yahuwah, Melanie just told y'all, he had to ask Yahuwah, hold on, I'm going to go back and do what you want, but who should I tell him your name is?
And remember what he said. What is your name?
Name. He didn't say, what's your title?
What's your name?
He didn't say none of that nonsense. We got to stop playing, Melanie. Any parting words you want to leave with the Promote the Truth community, Melanie? It's on you.
No, it's just what I was saying before. You're going to make mistakes, but you called on his name. You've been immersed in his name. Did he say, if you make mistakes, I'll never forgive you? Is that what Yahuwah said? Is that what he said, Brother Jay?
No, he did not.
What did he say?
He says, I am merciful. If you repent, I crave for you to repent because I will be merciful.
And when you repent, that doesn't mean, okay, I'm not going to do it today again. When you repent, you walk away from sin and you sin no more.
It's easy not to sin once you know what sin is.
Exactly.
And sin is just keep the commandments. Melanie, do you have a hard time? Like, do you get up every morning and you crave to go steal somebody's stuff?
Heck no. First thing I do is say, good morning, Yahuwah. Thanks for hearing me.
I mean, think about that. If somebody's saying the commandments are hard, they're saying it's hard for me not to steal. It's hard for me not to murder. Man, I'm struggling not to murder somebody. That's nonsense. Satan has tricked you. Yahuwah said it's simple. It's easy to follow me. You just got to want to do it. You just got to want to. Some of y'all want to be buck wild. Y'all won't be at the club. Y'all won't be down at this place. They shaking it, dropping it like it's hot all the time. Hey, that's the issue. Some people just want to be buck wild. They don't want to face the fact that it's simple to follow Yahuwah. But me and my sister Melanie, as for me and my house, as for her and her house, we're going to serve Yahuwah. We're going to follow Yahuwah. And I tell you what, Melanie's husband, Rick, has been an incredible supporter of the kingdom of Yahuwah. Fact. You tell Rick I said that. That just really hit me in the whole heart. Did that hit you?
He has been a supporter because he supports me.
He supported the kingdom and he supports me too.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Why?
Because he loves me and he trusts me and he knows that you are my brother and Lena is my sister and that Kurt is an adorable young man who's being raised upright.
I'm telling you, Melanie, we got a whole bunch. Hey, we're going to talk. I'm going to bring Melanie back because we got multiple subjects we can do with Melanie. We can do relationships. We can do business. We can do so many things with Miss Melanie. But would y'all do me a favor? If y'all live, y'all give a big shout out to Melanie. Tell her how much y'all appreciate her. She came here and poured her heart. If y'all are watching this on the replay, just drop it. She'll go back and look at all the comments. Say, Melanie, we appreciate you. We love you. How many teachers in the world do you know that says Yahuwah is my Allure? He's my savior. He's the most important thing. I promise y'all, I can vow for my sister, Melanie. That's first. She told you. That's first in her life. And so I trust her with her educational thought process and systems with my child, and she will do great with your child. But y'all going to have to give her some support. If you don't do nothing else, at least drop a comment and say, Miss Melanie, we love you. We appreciate you. Keep going. I want her to see hundreds and hundreds of comments giving her the accolades. So there will be other teachers that go, oh, I want some of that fire. I want some of that support. Tell me about this Yahuwah. All right, Melanie. I love you so much. We love y'all, family. We're going to get out of here. Everybody go to lotlbook.com. Get your free ebook. That's going to teach you how to educate your children in Yahuwah. That's what it's going to teach you to do. She's done it in a very unique way. Thank you, Melanie. Love you.
Leave a review.
Leave a review, y'all. Love y'all. Bye-bye.